I'm Matt,
I'm Brianna.
and we lift. And today we're going to demonstrate the 16-ounce curl. What are we drinking today? Today is Martin House Plum Pudding. I really had no idea what to expect with this beer, but it's pretty tasty, and she actually enjoys it, which is rare.
Yes.
But anyway, this is our first video. We're kind of winging this as we go. But anyway, we lift and we like talking about it, and we've decided that there was a huge gap in the YouTube fitness community between people who know what they're talking about and regular people. Because most regular people, when they see a YouTube video, it's probably from somebody who's really pretty looking but has no clue what they're doing. I could go into names, but well, this channel isn't big enough for us to face a libel suit yet. So cool. So anyway, I've been lifting, spent about 2-3 years in kind of a bro gym, lifting, kind of just getting big and swole and jacked and all that fun, happy things, until I decided to take up powerlifting, where I trained for about a year until I did my first meet. I've done 3 so far. In about 2 weeks, we're going to be doing one, and be your first, won't it?
My first one.
Yeah.
I've only been lifting for a little over a year. Really only a year, but
I mean, the first couple months were very technique oriented.
yes.
I mean, just, you want to explain about how you got into lifting?
I got into lifting after we began dating. I think on our second or third date, Matt took me to the gym.
Yeah, it was a great date.
Kicked my ass.
Yeah, it was interesting, because I'd never trained somebody who was brand new, so I had a lot of learning to do, and she had a lot of learning to do, trying to follow along with somebody who'd never trained somebody who was brand new. So
Yeah. Zero lifting in my life. Only cardio before this.
and everybody knows that cardio is boring as hell, so I had to save her. Are you allowed to save you from the hell that was walking on the treadmill for 30-45 minutes of gym session and calling it a day?
Yeah.
Great. I'm
Also,
glad.
was I allowed to say ass?
Yeah, you can say ass. You can say ass on television. You can say ass on the radio. Let's try to avoid the 4-letter words in case my mom sees this, because, she'd be offended. But
Hi, Mom.
so anyway, that's us. You want to talk about our training style and how we developed, or how we came about that?
Yes, so in the last 8 months or so, we've been doing
Probably about 10 at this point.
10 months. No, we started in the summertime.
Did we? I thought it was after
like
my last meet. Right about.
9 months.
Somewhere in there.
We started doing the conjugate method. It's been very beneficial.
You want to explain what the conjugate method is for people who don't know, or where it came from? Or
You should explain it better. than I
Okay,
will.
so the conjugate method, essentially, if you've heard of Louis Simmons and Westside Barbell, they developed the conjugate method style of training, which is essentially you have a max effort day for your upper body, a max effort day for your lower body, and then a dynamic day for your upper body and your lower body. Where essentially in your max effort day, you're doing a big, heavy compound lift for singles, possibly triples or 5s, depending on the lift, where you try to increase you basically PR on a single, and whereas on a dynamic day, you're doing speed work, sometimes with bands, sometimes with chains, and you're trying to get faster, because if you max out all the time, you do a great job of lifting heavier, but you lift heavy slower, and eventually you run out of energy to do the lift, so we get faster. And then along with that, after those, we'll do a supplemental lift, or possibly multiple supplemental lifts to work on our weak points for a particular lift. Say if I'm doing a close grip incline for my max effort upper body lift. Then I could turn around and do a JM press or another tricep heavy movement because it's a tricep dominant movement. So, and then after that supplemental lift, we'll do our accessory movements, which is basically bodybuilding, very high rep ranges to be able to grow the muscles and make the muscles strong and do the volume that otherwise we wouldn't be doing. So, as somebody who has very limited weight training before the conjugate method, what do you think about it overall?
Been very beneficial for me. It's really helped me in all 3 areas of powerlifting: squat, bench, and deadlift. Yeah, I see improvement every time I go into the gym.
What do you think's been the most beneficial for you overall?
Dynamic, that whole aspect of it.
Yeah,
the dynamic method of
yeah,
everything.
Because the dynamic effort method, what we're working,
it makes you pull back some, but you're also training faster and a little harder.
Yeah, so
and working for me, it's more like technique. Too.
Yeah,
like
so,
I can really focus on that without having to worry about a whole bunch of weight on my back or in my hands or anything like that. So
yeah, essentially, what the dynamic effort method is, the weight is much lower, between 50% to 75%, plus or minus however much band tension or chain if you have on the bar, if you're going that route, which I highly recommend. At least bands. If you have chains, play with chains. I've never really messed with them much because bands are easier because, well, right now anyway, we're training at a commercial gym. And band tension will give you that little extra at the end of a lift. Say you're weak at the bottom of a squat, cool. At the top of the squat, it could be 50% of your 1 rep max plus another percentage in band tension. And then at the bottom, it's only for 50% of your lift. So you can really focus on the technique and focus on being fast to build that speed while also developing your technique, which is huge for a new lifter. Or even, somebody who's been lifting for years. If you don't work on your technique, will break down. Just like she said, the dynamic effort method has been really helpful for her.
Mm-hmm.
I found
even Max too.
Yeah, but I found the dynamic effort method for me has blown up my squat and my bench. Deadlift, I personally don't really care about deadlift that much. It's just something that's not fun for me. I mean, hey, I was in the Army. You spend a lot of time wearing body armor in the Army, and body armor destroys your lower back. So deadlift, very lower back dominant exercise. I'm just not a fan because I'm kind of maxed out at about 505 pounds. So I don't really care about deadlift.
Right now, he's going to get better.
One day I will learn the deadlift. I'll learn to progress it more than I do now. But yeah, the dynamic effort method just has blown up because you can do so much variation in it. 1 week or one wave, you have a little bit of band tension. Then next go around, you throw on a heavier band. You have to press harder. It'll be a little bit slower, but you're working so much more about strength and learning how to be strong and fast with additional tension in that lift. So hugely beneficial, and not enough people know about that method. The first time I saw somebody training with bands, I was training at a Gold's Gym in Killeen, Texas, and I was like, why don't they just lift with more weight? That would make more sense to me. And then I was like, oh, several years later, now I understand what they were doing is accommodating resistance, make it harder at the top of the lift. Cool. So, and that's just from not having the information out there enough. Granted, these days, West Side versus the World is on Netflix. is on Amazon. I highly recommend anyone who hasn't seen it see it multiple times. So yeah, every night. Yeah, I will occasionally watch it while I'm out working. So more for the entertainment value at this point, but hugely beneficial for an intro to the conjugate method.
But yep, that's what we do.
So
we started this channel to help everybody. Not help everybody, but put knowledge out there and follow like our journey.
Yeah,
lifting.
And
from a newbie to someone with more experience.
Yeah, because a lot of the time you get one perspective or the other. You will get somebody who's hugely popular on YouTube, who's a competitive bodybuilder, or Brian Shaw or an Eddie Hall, who's world class strongman. Cool, that's great for them, but I can't really relate to them because I'm not nearly at their level, and most people are never going to be. So we're trying to show what you can do naturally in a commercial private gym that most people have access to. We're not training at Thor's powerhouse in Iceland with world-class strongmen. We're training with normal people, and how that and some of the limitations with that, which do exist, and just how to make that work and how to be as successful as possible in that system, because a lot of people just see the high level of athletes out there and think, oh, well, I can never get to that. Or they think, well, I've got to find a way to do, how do they get to that point, and then follow them. Odds are you're probably never going to get there. So just give a realistic opinion, and also, like she said, follow somebody who's fairly new to the sport of powerlifting versus somebody who's been training and competing for a few years now, and the struggles,
the triumphs,
the struggle. Yeah, I
have a lot of struggles.
It's a lot of struggles for me as well to try to relate, because I'll say something that I think is very apparent, and she won't know what I'm talking about because I haven't communicated that well, and she hasn't.
Or I've never heard of that.
Yeah, she hasn't heard of it, and
you never know.
So it'll get kind of confusing when we train together, or if I'm not able to train with her, which I travel on the road for work all the time. So a lot of times, a lot of my coaching for her is
via
videos that she sends me
in real time,
and via text message that I'm replying back with, which gets incredibly complicated. So communication is key, and understanding how to communicate with somebody who's not at your level is even more important. So
learning experience for both of us.
Learning experience for both of us, and learning experience for everyone that really, you spend enough time in the gym, you understand that there's several transitions between I'm learning, picking up things along the way, and drawing. Personally, I drew a lot of hey, here's what I did in high school football years and years ago, and here's something I saw on YouTube last week, let me try it out. And eventually you find things that actually do more than just the bro lifting that you see on YouTube and the vague recollections that you had from football back in high school, which a lot of people don't have that information apparent, or the things that first pop up on YouTube are not the things you really want. They're the bro lifters, or the people who will tell you, hey, these are all the supplements that will make you big and strong. Newsflash, none of them will, except for protein and hard work. And
beer curling.
Beer curls.
Or curls. But we hope to share more info with y'all.
Yeah, so
hopefully we'll do a weekly post, sometimes twice a week. We will see.
And they should be more entertaining than an introduction. But
you like our cups? Christmas.
She said I didn't need these. I disagreed, and I won. And now we have Snoopy Christmas cups for
Peanuts.
drinking beer all year round. I mean, it's peanuts, but let's be real. Snoopy is the star of the show.
Okay.
I mean, maybe Charlie Brown, but I mean, Snoopy is... Who gets the merch? It's Snoopy.
True. So, subscribe to us.
Subscribe, click the bell, all that good stuff.
Follow our Instagrams.
Yeah, Instagrams in the
Probably
description
get a combined
below.
one at some point, but
You know.
whatevs.
Um,
Thanks.
Yep.